Okay, welcome back to the Monday Postcast. I'm joined by Tom Siegel, Mark Scully and Paul Binfield. And now, hopefully, we're going to get Tom's blood going a little bit. It's the same old story as usual. We're going to talk about Enable because she's looking to go in the Yorkshire Oaks. We've also got Neswa in there as well, alongside Queen's Trust, Coronet and Journey. Now, Binners, we'll go to you first and get the betting, but I think there's been a fair old move on Roger Varian's filly, hasn't there?
Yeah, and the Super Filly Enable 2-7 favourite, Maddie. Then Queen's Trust 13-2, Neswa 7-1, very well backed on Sunday. Has been as big as 12-1 in the market previously, and then we go 14-1 Journey and Coronet, and it's 16 bar.
Okay, Tom, penalty kick for Enable. I know we've seen horses like Tugruda be beating this, although I think she might have been in season was the excuse they used when Tapestry beat her. Or do you think you'll be looking elsewhere in the market for something?
Never a penalty kick at York, Maddie. Never, ever, ever is there a penalty kick at York, in my opinion. It's very, very much, for me, it's a horses for courses track. If there's rain, the ground gets a bit shifty. Anything can happen, as we saw with Tugruda. I love Enable, as we all know. I think she's by 5 minutes better than the horses she's running against. But 2-7, it's just not. No one's going to hit. No one's going to come on here and say that's a brilliant price. You have to have a lot of money to be betting horses at 2-7 at York, in my opinion. I like Neswa. She was really good in the Pretty Polly. I like Queen's Trust too. I think they're both very strong each way plays in the race. The ground was all wrong for Queen's Trust at Goodwood. Throw out race. But if you go back to the Prince of Wales' stakes, if anything,
she got messed around a bit there as
you'd
well.
say that she was unlucky not to win that race. And there was Ulysses, Decorated Knight, Highland Reel, good horses, Mektal in there. You would, she sort of got lost in the. But if you go back and stick your videos on and have a look at that one, she should perhaps have won that race. Everything that possibly could go wrong did. It was at Ascot where nothing was coming from behind all week. Nothing. It was really hard to come from behind. She came from last, and she must have made up 3 or 4 lengths on some really good horses. So, I don't think she can beat Enable, but I think she can. She's a cracking each way bet if there's 8 runners at 7-1.
Okay, so you'd have her over Neswa, would you?
I think so. I think obviously it depends on the price. Come the day, I expect Neswa to be a little bit shorter than Queen's Trust. She's got lots of 1s by her name, and Queen's Trust has got 4s and 6s by her name. So tends to be the way people go. But for me, I think Queen's Trust is a pretty good filly on fast ground, and I think the 1.5 miles will suit her well.
Do you think the 1.5 miles will be a problem for Neswa? Obviously, she's not really gone this trip before. She was very strong in the end of the Pretty Polly. No problem, no?
No, that'll suit her too, I would have thought.
Okay, Mark, what about you? What do you
I
reckon?
don't disagree with much of that. We're into sort of the realm now where we have to relish every chance we get to see Enable, really, because she obviously isn't going to be around forever. Might be only a handful more times we actually even see her, so we should just look forward to it and relish it. But I think what's refreshing is people aren't dodging one filly in this case.
Yeah.
You see people sometimes these races they scare everyone off, and it's sort of one horse versus a bunch of horses that are never going to see which way she went. But actually, if she's not at her bringing her A game, if there are any chinks in her armour this week, then there are fillies in this race, as Tom has perfectly summed up, that can certainly give her a fright. But I'm as big a fan of Enable as Tom is, and I think we just need to enjoy every chance we get to see her now.
Okay, what do you reckon of Journey? Because she was super impressive at Ascot last year. She never tends to come to herself until this sort of time of year. She's obviously really, really talented, but she just hasn't quite put it together yet. Do you think she could be one now it's getting, later on in the day that could challenge her, or do you just think Enable's far and away the best?
Look, she was 15-8 favourite, wasn't she, to beat Neswa last time? She was 5th in the Coronation Cup to Highland Reel. She's clearly talented, but it's hard to back her on the back of that last run. She was dreadful.
Okay, Paul, what do you make of it?
Well, I actually do think Journey's interesting if she runs, Maddie.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, no, as Tom said, it was a good run in the Coronation Cup. Ran no sort of race in Ireland. I'm willing to forgive her that because it was over 10 furlongs. I think she's much better at this 1.5 miles, and if she runs at the moment 14-1, be shorter on the day with a few defections, but I think she's good each way value if she actually lines up.
Yes, I'm glad someone agrees with me for once. That horse, I've lost far too much money on her. We'll go to the Lowther now, which is a really, really interesting race. Wesley Ward leaves Happy Like a Fool over here, who is facing 6 furlongs for the first time. We've got the Rose Bowl winner Madeline in there. Aidan O'Brien's got a few among them. Actress and Butterscotch, I think, maybe. Paul, you first. How do they bet?
Yeah, 9-4 Wesley Ward's filly, Happy Like a Fool. 5-2 Madeline. 4 Fredding. 7 Butterscotch. 8 Special Purpose. 10-1 Actress, who I like a natural, same price, 10-1.
Okay, Mark, we'll go to you first. Kick us off.
I like Threading.
She's been supplemented for this.
Yeah, and much the same, not sort of from a analysis of the race point of view, much the same logic as DXB, really. You know, they were both very, very impressive at Goodwood for Mark Johnston. And if memory serves, on breeding, she really didn't have a lot of right to win on the ground that week. And she still did very, very impressively, I thought. And so I will be taking a chance that she can build on that. She's obviously given away quite a bit of experience to some of these, but she's obviously very highly thought of to be sent down to Goodwood in the first place. And I'm going to give her a chance.
Okay, nicely done. Tom, what about you? Can't be having Happy Like a Fool at York on 6 over on that ground, no?
Well, there's going to be, you know, of course she can win. She's got tremendous Ascot form. She's second to the Clive Cox horse. She's very good. And the same with Madeline. Looked good the other day, didn't she, at Ascot? There's just nothing wrong with those horses at all. It's a price thing, isn't it? It's a hard race. It's going to be a draw advantage. There nearly always is at York on the straight track. And, you know, do I want to be betting at 5-2, 3-1? No, I don't. I like Actress in terms of form. I think she's probably got the best form. She was third to the Sioux Nation and Beckford, only beaten 2 lengths in a Group 1 last time. I think that's probably the best form. I think in terms of price, she's probably the one for me. I'd also throw in there, I mean, this is just a bit of a guess really, but a horse called Hence, Aidan O'Brien trains. He's about 40-50 to 1. I noticed the other day the declarations came out for the Dewhurst, and that is probably traditionally the best 2-year-old race of the season. And he entered 4 fillies, including Clemmy, Happily, September. The other one he entered was Hence. Didn't enter Actress, didn't enter Butterscotch. The filly he entered of these ones in the Dewhurst was Hence. Now, she's been beaten twice already this season. She was beaten on the all-weather last time. So my guess is she's not going to run. But the boys at Ballydoyle have obviously seen something in Hence to warrant her being entered in the Dewhurst, which makes that an interesting filly to follow for the future. Whether she runs here, I don't know.
Okay, well, I think that leaves me, you, and Paul in agreement that we all like Actress. Anything to add on her, Binners? Was it her that you fancied?
Yeah, just really, really impressed. Finishing third to the stable companion Sioux Nation in the Phoenix. I don't think Aidan would run a filly against the Colts unless he thought she was really good, and clearly she is finishing third there. And I agree with Tom. At 10-1, she looks a very tasty each-way price.
Okay, Mark, any other Thursday tips? You seem to be the one who's done the most homework this week. So.
Well, William Haggis obviously has a brilliant record.
See, I knew I could rely on you. Won't be able to rely on Tom when it
goes.
Definitely won't be.
He won the opening conditions race on Thursday 3 times in a row prior to last year, most recently with Tasleith. Special Purpose is unbeaten and is in there this time around, so it could be worth noting. Thought that was, just worth pointing out.
Very, very worth it indeed. Binners, any Thursday tips, any massive movers on Thursday?
Well, in the Clipper Logistics handicap at 3 o'clock, Maddie, a horse called Bravery for David O'Meara. I think this one's back down to a winning mark. He's of 99. I think he's won off 100 before. And back to a mile, I think he's interesting at a nice price of 16-1.
Okay, we'll just take a short break now before we cover the Numthorpe Stakes.